Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Aaron.
Valyria Card Kingdoms, let's do it. If you've played Machikoro or Space Base, you basically know how to play Valyria Card Kingdoms. It's roll 2 dice, and that's kind of like how you use your engine builder, because you have all these cards here that have the numbers that could be rolled, and they're in front of you, and they'll produce resources, and you spend those resources to get in this game, it's fight monsters or get domain things, and that's how you get your points. So Machikoro was the first one I think made, and then Space. I think actually maybe this one came out afterwards, but I played them, and I played Machikoro first, then I played Space Base, and then I played this, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah, this came out before.
I already bought those other two, but now this is the best one. I think it's the best one.
So one thing that makes this game great is that when you roll the dice, you get not only the combination of them, but each of them separately as well. Yes. So if you roll a 2 and a 4, you get to activate all your 2 cards, you get to activate all of your 4 cards, and then you activate all the cards with 6s on them. So essentially, you could do 3 cards, and then every copy of those cards with one roll, unless you roll doubles, and there's it's not activating as many things, but it's still really cool that you can activate a bunch of things off of one roll.
And it's everybody activates all the things. Mm-hmm. It just feels super plentiful, because in Machikoro you started with 1 die, and then eventually you could upgrade to have 2 dice, so it felt a lot slower. Mm-hmm. And in Space Base it was better because you rolled 2 dice, and you could take one or the other or both, right? You could choose, right?
You got both of them or put them together.
Correct.
You pick 2 or one thing, but putting them together gets you a higher number. The higher numbers are always better things you can get. With this game, you kind of have a Dominion lineup though, where the cards you pick are the cards that we all have access to, and they don't change. Now, the monsters, there's some variation in those decks, as well as the realms or the place
domains.
Domains, except at the bottom, there's a deck of those that change. But as far as your main engine, you pick these 10 cards, and these are the 10 we get. So when you roll a 2, everyone who has a 2, the exact same thing happens. That's probably...
Almost. Because it's the person whose turn it is gets a little bit better than every active player.
Yeah, so it's a slightly better if you're the one rolling it, but it's all essentially the same. They all have kind of the same feel to it, or all the people who's not turn it is get the exact same thing. And that's the thing I think I like about Space Base a little bit better, is that there's more variability in the cards that you get, and I really like how when you buy a new card, the other one goes up and does something different. But we're not talking about that game. We're talking about this game.
Yeah, but in this game, when you buy another card of that number, you're just stacking
Doubling
that same ability.
Yeah, but it's still the same ability.
Right.
Again and again.
Yeah. I mean, there are extra cards in here, so you can change this line out.
Yeah, there's 2 of every number, two of every stack.
And I know there's a lot of expansions to this game already out there. So there's a lot of stuff that you can get to add to it that if you love it, you're not well, this is the game, I'm going to play it every time. Game to game, it can still be very different.
In this game, you have multiple resources that you're spending. You have magic, which is actually the wild resource. You have, strength?
Yeah, and attack you do, and money dollars.
So to buy cards, you spend money, and you can, as long as you spend at least 1 money, you can add as much magic as you want to increase the value of your purchasing.
Because magic is a wild, but it's not really a wild, but it copies something else.
It's wild as long as there's at least 1 to copy. Yeah. And then when you're attacking, as long as you spend at least 1 of the attack, you can add magic to it to increase your strength, so you can actually attack the monsters. So you have those 3 different resources that you collect from your cards from the rolling, and then ultimately you're trying to get the victory points, which you can get them from certain cards, activations do things, and then you also get them printed on your cards.
So he was just talking about the different types of resources. One of the reasons why I think this might be my favorite of this version is that everything feels so plentiful, because you get all that stuff. You get a whole bunch of these. There are times when I'm just looking, I have all these resources in front of me. I have so many things I could do. I could get so many cards. Well, I mean, you're still only limited to 2, but I could get two actions. But maybe I could get one of these. Maybe I could get one of that. It doesn't feel super tight. It feels really plentiful that you just have all this stuff going on and so many options. I don't know. I think it's just I'm just repeating myself. It's the most plentiful and just fun version. I don't know.
I don't know if that was a positive for me necessarily. It's definitely good and it's fun, but I did towards the end of the game. I remember you were saying you wanted the game to go even a little bit longer because you're I'm just getting so many things. And
that's what
but also, like, I'm getting so many things every round that, like, if I had more resources, like, I already can't spend all the resources I have. Like, there were definitely rounds where, like, I've got enough that I can buy anything I want right now.
Well, we had that debacle because the way that you trigger endgame has to do with, like, when a certain number of these stacks are gone. Well, like, because it says in the rules, like, when a certain number of domain stacks are exhausted, when a certain number of these monster stacks are killed, or, like, so whenever you empty out a stack, you put the exhausted card there. And actually, I still haven't played the right way, because the first few times that I was playing, that my friends taught me, and then I taught them how to play, because somebody taught me that it was just, you only use these exhausteds for the citizens roll, so for the cards that you can buy. So it's either you purchase the domains out to end the game, you fight your way out, or you purchase these cards out. But really, I checked on Board Game Geek, they said that it's supposed to be anytime, any stack, so the game should end a lot earlier. So we were getting to that point where we were like, I have 900 resources! You know, when really, in theory, you're not supposed to go that far. But I liked it. That's, you know, one of the things that I liked about just having so much. I mean, it's your game. You can do it as long as you want.
As long as you're all playing by the same rules.
Yeah, who cares?
The last way that you're actually scoring points is from these dukes that you're handed at the beginning of the game, and you get to choose one, and it gives you victory points based on the different cards you collect or the different icons on the cards you're collecting. So you might want to, like, you know, really go for a bunch of the peasants if peasants give you victory points in the end of the game, or, you know, they all have a different, you know, multiplier for the amount of resources that, you know, for every 3 of any resource you have, you get a victory point with this guy. Some of them are 4. Like, just a little bit different, so everybody's slightly asymmetrical in the way they're planning on what they're purchasing.
Overall, I did really enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. I like this style of game where it's like you're building your engine, you're rolling your die to see what activates, and you're really tempted to, like, do I want to make this slot really, really powerful, or do I want to make sure that no matter what gets rolled, I get something? And then you're like, okay, well, I have every slot filled up, but I've never rolled these cards. Like, these cards are wasted. I should have put it here. So, like, that type of engine building, I think, is really fun. And yeah, this game does it well, where you get to activate a lot more than a lot of the other games like this. I think the theme is excellent. It's like fantasy theme. It's always going to be a winner for us. Yeah, I definitely recommend that you guys check this one out. It's Daily Magic's best game I've ever played.
It is a lot of fun. It's kind of like DC deck building versus Legendary, where DC, while it's a lot simpler, it's more fun because you kind of get to turn your brain off, sort of kind of thing. But I will say that I think probably Space Base is the better game. It's better, like, there's, you know, it's more thinky, it's more crunchy, harder decisions, but I have more fun with this one. I really fun with this one.
Yeah, I really enjoy this as well. I do love that there's just so much of the collecting and the resources. I do kind of like in Machikoro where you can, like, change up what your ones are. You're like, do I want to have ones that screw other people over when they roll them, or do I want to have ones that I collect on, or ones that I collect on everybody else's? But this has variety in what you set up every game, so it's always a little different. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, we'll have a link in the description box down below where you can get yourself a copy.
Regardless, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.
You burped earlier. Were you eating a hot dog out of the toilet?